When you're in the grip of stress and anxiety, we often unintentionally fall into over-breathing, into a dysfunctional breathing pattern, and I'll tell you a few of those that I know of later in this video. But first, welcome. Coach Erin here. I'm an exercise physiologist and breathing coach. I created the program, the 60-day private coaching program called Breathe Well, Live Well. So let's talk a little bit about your breath. The cycle of air hunger is linked to anxiety. It's linked to dysfunctional breathing patterns. Usually 80% of people who have anxiety also have dysfunctional breathing patterns. Sometimes it's influenced by hormones, by medications, by pregnancy, by trauma. Sometimes I've seen it connected with asthma. So there's a lot of reasons why you might get into this cycle of air hunger. But I want to encourage you, I've worked with a lot of different people who have gotten air hunger from a lot of different things. And breath retraining is such a great tool for them to start to understand that their body, their breath is responding to anxiety throughout the day. And that when you do that, when you breathe in any one of these suboptimal breathing patterns, usually it's activating that nervous system response, the fight or flight. And the key is all about not getting more oxygen. It's about retaining, so retention work, and getting the appropriate level of CO2 and retraining our sensitivity to it. So becoming tolerant to CO2. So techniques such as slow breathing, gentle retention, guided meditation, diaphragmatic breathing, strengthening your diaphragm, these can all help you override and retrain the breathing pattern so you don't have that urge to consume more air and stay in that stress cycle. All right, so it's a perceived need for more oxygen, perceived. This in turn will manifest into that sensation of air hunger. And that's that you can't get a satisfying breath, that you're always reaching for breath. It feels like you sometimes have trouble breathing, or you just can't, you're constantly reaching for more air. This can also include hyperventilation. It's an excessive inhalation pattern. And this will lead, when you do this, when you breathe, overbreathe, it'll lead to lower levels of carbon dioxide within your bloodstream. Why is CO2 so crucial? Why does it matter? Well, when you get out of balance, when your O2 and CO2 gets out of balance, your pH level in the blood is going to also be out of balance. So it's gonna cue you to breathe more and breathe more. This is a compensation pattern we've created because you have a sensitivity to CO2. You're very responsive to CO2. When you feel, since it's already low in the bloodstream, when you feel a little bit of CO2, then you immediately want to take in that oxygen. So it's causing you to breathe more and more. So that's why we kind of get in this cycle. Either sometimes it's acute where you're under just a ton of stress, or sometimes it's chronic. You've had this for a long time. You maybe have had dysfunctional breathing patterns for a very long time. And so depending on whether it's acute or chronic is how long it's going to usually take for you to retrain. But I do want to encourage you, you can do it. And we can learn a lot about our stress and how we're carrying it from our breath. So I really want to encourage you that if you do have air hunger, although it's very uncomfortable, for me, it was a really good learning experience about myself. So you want a proper regulation of the O2 and CO2. This is crucial for the body's acid-base equilibrium. And unfortunately, when your breath establishes that new set point, when you get out of balance, typically by that prolonged stress, then retraining the biomechanics of your breath will become essential to break free of that habit and restore a healthy balance. Because if you only work on the anxiety, although that's going to help likely, you still might be breathing in a suboptimal pattern that's going to continue to keep you in the cycle. So we want to work with the biomechanics of breathing as well as wellness, mindfulness tools to overcome air hunger. I firmly believe that gradually increasing your tolerance to CO2 through diaphragmatic engagement and strengthening, through practicing slower, lower breathing and retention, incorporating relaxation techniques, wellness, mindfulness, that are in my program that I teach, and I'll talk a little bit about that at the end here. But these can effectively help you regulate the nervous system, restore that balance between the oxygen and the CO2 levels. And the tools you learn now will proactively help you manage this in the future. So that's an added benefit is, like I said, you'll learn a lot about yourself. So let's review some of the disordered breathing patterns that I have seen personally with clients and with myself. These will keep us in that sympathetic nervous system state, that fight or flight. The first one is paradoxical breathing. This is vertical breathing. This is inhaling by sucking in and reaching up. Okay. The next one, number 2, is shallow breathing. This is using our neck and shoulders and breathing more shallow for that inhalation. The next one, number 3, stomach gripping. This is a holding breathing pattern, sometimes connected to trauma, sometimes not, but this creates a sympathetic nervous system response. It also creates irregular breathing. So you're holding your belly in, and then when you finally do let go, then you're really irregular, short, shallow, and quick. Number 4, an increased breathing rate. If you are feeling anxious and overwhelmed, stressed, your breathing rate usually increases. This induces that sympathetic nervous system response. Mouth breathing. This weakens our respiratory diaphragm because when you're mouth breathing, it's hard to access your diaphragm. It also has a lot of other negative health benefits, and I won't go into that today. Number 6, breathlessness and speech endurance problems. Sometimes people who are experiencing air hunger also have a hard time speaking. They might feel like they can't talk for a very long time and they lose their breath easily. This is because they're really sensitive to that CO2. Persistent clearing of the throat, yawning, sighing, these are sometimes byproducts of air hunger. And certainly number 8, panic attacks. These are definitely due to hyperventilation. And if you've been over breathing for too long, then usually panic attacks is what happens next. So if you have that air hunger symptom and you haven't had a panic attack yet, be encouraged, because we definitely want to keep you from having to go through that scary, very unpleasant, uncomfortable, super stressful, feel like you're dying position. So I've been there, I've experienced that, I've gone to the ER for panic attacks. And again, went there, nothing seemingly wrong. Nobody really understood what air hunger was or why I was experiencing that. But over time, with my background as an exercise physiologist and a wellness coach and later on a breathing coach, but a yoga instructor, I was able to see that, hey, my breathing pattern is off. Something's not right here. So when I did that, when I leaned in to retraining my breath and doing more wellness self-care tools, that's when I was able to overcome my air hunger. And it did take a little bit of time, so be patient with yourself. If you need coaching, if you want help, if it seems very severe and you want that guidance, I have a 60-day private coaching program called Breathe Well, Live Well. This is completely virtual, completely online via Zoom. And so during that program, we will assess your breathing pattern disorder. We will try to see where your air hunger is coming from, use wellness, mindfulness, and breathing tools to help you overcome it in a gentle, holistic, natural way. Now, I am not against medication. I am not against mental health counseling. I highly feel like those are very helpful. But I also think that this breath work is a piece of this, especially if you have that symptom of air hunger, because we know your physiology has changed. It's adapted to a different O2, CO2. There's not a lot of information out there, but there is information out there that is what's happened when you feel that symptom of air hunger and it's not going away and you're super fixated on the breath. So I want to encourage you that if the breathing has changed, then we can change the breathing. So we can work on those biomechanics. We can get better breathing habits. We can also use wellness and mindfulness tools to help you calm down that nervous system and to overcome this very uncomfortable air hunger situation. So I know that was a lot. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions or want to write some comments, write it below. If you want to jump on a free complimentary 30-minute call, I won't always be able to do this, but right now on my schedule I can, then there'll be a link in the description. You can jump on that call. Other than that, breathe well, live well, have a wonderful, wonderful day, y'all, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.